Police women learn advanced tactical driving for APEC. Newcrest signs up as APEC Platinum sponsor. And PNG still in top 25 of most corrupt on Perception Index.
This is National MTV News with Meriba Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us for Thursday's news. Papua New Guinea has been ranked 135th out of 180 countries in the Corruption Perception Index. The index, released by Transparency International today, is an annual report ranking countries according to perceived levels of corruption. Whilst PNG has improved its rank by 15 places in the last 5 years, the report still places PNG in the top 25% of highly corrupt nations. The 2017 Corruption Perception Index was released today by Transparency International. The report, a culmination of surveys and results of the public service conducted by international organizations. The PNG chapter announced the results for Papua New Guinea today, with TI PNG Chairman Lawrence Stevens announcing Papua New Guinea's rank.
New Guinea ranks 135 in 2017, and the score is 29 out of 100. That indicates that we're still perceived to be among the highly corrupt nations, but clearly we face huge challenges. Our score and ranking has landed us among one of the most corrupt countries in the world.
PNG's results in the recent past have been marginally positive, with the country improving its rank by 15 places in the last 5 years. However, there is still more to be done, as PNG is still perceived as highly corrupt.
Mandated institutions underscore the need to take a much stronger stance against corruption. And if our institutions are seen to be weak, if there are questions as to how a wealthy individual suddenly becomes a citizen of Papua New Guinea with no full disclosure as to how an unqualified became a qualified.
Deputy Prime Minister Charles Abel was present for the announcement of the 2017 Corruption Perception Index, and in acknowledging the progress made in the public service, also called for all stakeholders to work together in fighting against corruption. He used the opportunity to highlight steps taken by the government, one of which moves to create more transparency within the procurement process, which remains an area prone to corrupt practices.
There is not enough being done to, in terms of a government push itself around this. And so it's certainly something that we can take on board and is worth considering. And I think particularly in the public finance management process and in the procurement of public goods and services.
With all eyes on PNG in this APEC year, Mr. Abel adds that APEC will be an opportunity for PNG to learn from some neighbour economies like New Zealand, who continue to rank as least corrupt in the Perception Index.
So a big issue is openness, and but I think we're making steps in that direction.
On the whole, there is more to do in the fight against corruption, and it will take cooperation from all stakeholders. According to TI PNG, they stand ready to partner with government as well as other sectors of the community in combating corruption now and into the future.
The reality is that unless we have a focus on developing an ICAC and also strengthening the other institutions, we feel that we have a problem.
The point is to accelerate development, I suppose, by engaging and participating with these economies that are quite advanced economically, and correspondingly, in a large sense, issues of corruption and governance dealt with because they're further down the development pathway. And we're trying to accelerate that development process.
There are to be harsher penalties for the illegal use or possession of firearms. This afternoon, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill advised in a media statement that people illegally using or possessing firearms will face jail terms of up to 10 years and fines of up to 10,000 kina under strict new laws. The Prime Minister says there is no excuse for the illegal use of firearms, and he is sick and tired of people illegally using weapons and not going to jail. He said these new proposed penalties are part of a review of the entire police force currently underway, covering reforms in core elements of policing, including command and control, training and organizational structures. He maintains that there are committed and capable officers in the RPNGC, and it is time to empower them and remove those who are not making a valuable contribution to improvement. Port Moresby has witnessed another nasty road accident, this time involving a PMV bus and a sedan this afternoon. The PMV bus was carrying at least 20 passengers heading to Gerahu when it collided with the sedan. The incident occurred at the traffic lights just outside the Sir Manasupe house. Witnesses say the bus was travelling at high speed despite the traffic light changing to red. At least 4 men were injured in the accident, one being the driver of the sedan. Yesterday morning, a PMV bus ran over a student outside 9 Mile. The bus driver was badly assaulted and handed over to police while the bus was set on fire. Constable Rama Lo'o is confident her policewomen will respond well to any threats encountered during the upcoming APEC summit. Lo'o is the policewoman who is teaching 12 other policewomen advanced tactical driving, an important skill needed for APEC security. These women officers will be driving the spouses of the 21 world leaders around Port Moresby come November.
These 12 are the first batch of female officers who will be in very close contact with spouses of the 21 visiting world leaders. For 2 weeks, these officers were taught on how to quickly identify threats and how to respond and drive to safety.
What you just saw was evasive driving. That's how they will be responding in if there's any threat in front. They know how to react to that. So yeah, this is what we're teaching them now to prevent what's going to happen if it does happen, yes.
In this drill, the vehicle carrying the spouse of a world leader is in the front, with the escort vehicle following closely behind. Once it encounters a threat, the escort vehicle is notified and it drives forward, providing cover. The vehicle carrying the principal then reverses and speeds off to safety. From the outside, it may look like normal reversing, but the women behind the steering wheels are trained using world standard defensive driving.
They're driving the principal or the principal car, and the safety of the principal and the bodyguard who is in the vehicle, and plus the security car. The drivers do have their task in there, how to drive and maneuver.
This is one of the many preparations leading up to security operations for APEC 2018. Thekla Gunga, National MTV News.
Newcrest Mining Limited has signed on as a platinum sponsor for APEC 2018 in a move that Ian Kermish, Newcrest Executive General Manager, describes as a show of support to the country and solidifies the company's commitment to national partnership. A highlight of the APEC's calendar will be the CEO Summit on the 15th to the 17th of November, steered by PNG's APEC Business Advisory Council.
As the country's APEC year kicks off with the first senior official meeting beginning tomorrow and concluding on the 9th of March, the private sector is eager to show their support by stepping up to share some of the cost burden associated with hosting the Asia-Pacific's largest economic group. The first company to sign on as a platinum sponsor is Newcrest Mining Limited, the largest miner in the country. This morning, Newcrest Executive General Manager Ian Kermish signed the sponsorship agreement as stakeholders looked on.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Kermish elaborated that the company is committed to the country and wishes to show the world that Papua New Guinea is a place you can do business.
We're engaging in a very constructive way with the government of Papua New Guinea to bring that project on. And that changes things because it means you need to think about Newcrest as a broad national partner for the country. And we're doing a lot of things, including here in Port Moresby, to support some key themes, from women's issues to youth issues on a national stage. And this is another sign of that national partnership.
Papua New Guinea's hosting of the 2018 APEC meetings presents an unprecedented opportunity to showcase the country as a vibrant and attractive investment destination. Leanne Jarari, National MTV News.
The case of the Southern Highlands regional seat for the declaration of William Powie under special circumstances will be heard in April. Petitioners Joseph Kobol and Bernard Peter said they are pleased with the decision to trial the case and said the people of Southern Highlands deserve a fair and just election for the Southern Highlands provincial seat.
Petitioner Bernard Peter believes the election process was hijacked when sitting Governor William Powie was declared by the Electoral Commissioner.
Section 175 and so-called section special circumstances. That is brought to light before the Court of Justice, and there will be a trial on April the 9th to the 28th.
The case is also unique as it, for the first time in election history, the election law section 175 on declaring candidates under special circumstances will be debated.
This case is a unique case. It's first of its kind law. This country never been one blood time since independence law 1975. It coming up now. One blood money knows I win nothing long one blood something will call in special circumstances. But this is first time history of Papua New Guinea. As we know, the wider community, country, NGOs, stakeholders, people, we were looking forward to that decision, and it's taking shape now.
The court has also ordered the Electoral Commission to transport the remaining ballot boxes in Mount Hagen to Mendi by Monday.
Judge Itoklo by Monday, this box must stop long Mendi. So Electoral Commission is working one lo display and sawe stop long all. But all people, I mean no worry play you me. And work play Electoral Commission. You mean by look that's so long. One in time I'm carrying box come. But time box like come, you will stop issue, all back come.
They have also called on their supporters to maintain peace and let the court process take place.
We appeal to people of Southern Highlands to allow the authorities of government to implement orders of the court peacefully. One of the orders that I think now is the transportation of the ballot papers in Mount Hagen to Mendi. It is in our interest to protect those boxes when they arrive in Mendi, and we must make sure they are safeguarded, protected until orders of the court on how those boxes are further dealt with.
Stanley Over Jr., National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. We'll have more of today's stories on the other side of these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Port Moresby General Hospital is looking to upgrade to a level 7 hospital. The upgrade means that it will include treatment centers for cancer patients and a dialysis center for kidney patients. Today, they presented their renovation plans to the Minister for National Planning, Richard Maru.
The Port Moresby General Hospital will embark on a number of renovations. POMGen is a level 7 hospital as per the National Health Plan and Service Standards. This means the hospital has various centers and specialist doctors for various medical conditions.
Gastrointestinal. So all these super specialties will come in at the same time within 1 year. No other hospital in the world has attempted to do this. But I'm very confident, our team is very confident we can do that. As the funds flow, we would be able to deliver on it.
The Port Moresby General Hospital was given 30 million kina in the 2018 national budget. It plans to use that funding to upgrade the Cancer Diagnosis Center to a treatment center.
Surgeons will operate, but that's just about 25% of the cancers. The rest of the 75%, then they have to be referred to lay for getting the radiation. And you know the treatment unit there is sort of non-functional at the moment.
Port Moresby General Hospital CEO Dr. Umesh Gupta says he was grateful for the government's allocation of 30 million kina.
In a nutshell, Minister, this is what we're planning and we need your support.
National Planning Minister Richard Maru says that funding will be made available next month.
What I need now is a copy of a letter to me, basically giving me the breakup and how you're going to use the 30 million. so I can make sure from next month onwards we can start getting funding released so you can implement your plan. For me as planning minister, my agenda is simple. Those who perform are going to get government funding. And you've certainly been performing and deserve to be given priority in terms of the release of government funding, and I want to make sure in next month's cash flow we allocate first half of your funding, and over a month or so we should be able to release the rest, subject to cash flow.
Meanwhile, Minister Mara requested the hospital hand in a 5-year plan and a request for the government to bring in specialists to train doctors.
And itemize the breakup and what you want to do and your request for funding, so we can work to release the funding. Before June, I want to make sure you get all your funds. And secondly, also forward me a letter requesting our government to ask other countries to bring in some specialists under the AID program to assist you.
Adelaide Xerox Kari National, MTV News.
More than 300 people of Surumarang village along Madang's North Coast Road are displaced following an attack on them 3 weeks ago. Community leader Stephen Amuf says men from the neighboring villages mobilized and attacked them, burning down 14 houses. Amuf says the attack has left families homeless and in fear of their lives.
At least 350 men, women and children are now seeking refuge with other villages whose houses were spared. There are at least 4 families living in one house. School children are also affected. They cannot attend classes as their school books and clothes were also banned.
4 pla, 5 pla married, all staff pla 1 pla house. Sleep la this house, big house plus big house and must staff nem all come sleep. Plan the school picking them all something long all books long all paya. Lo school kindergarten to em plan something long em kapa palang.
Meanwhile, some families are using tents to sleep in. Community leader Stephen Amuf says Sumcar district only donated 10 tents for them to use. Clean water and food has now become a struggle for them.
We've been asking online long provincial government, lo sample assistance osem long all agents something osem, all canvas, all container water, so maybe loksim water, only talk ball making, but then only go and only no come back and talk to me why all no come or kind of same no got. But then me ask him can online long eligible mipla long sungil ba, all right, sungil ba allergy online workman all officer only check him online lo district na district last week Tuesday all come and them few canvas or tent lo sleep or 10 pla tent na at the moment people work lo use this pla but I mean good pla Thomas rain still work lo simple it.
Now I'm 3 weeks now. 3 weeks now I'm all no go to school all stop. All kindergarten don't plat to I'm no go school. All stop was same. No got no school. I'm all get us house from all to empire one time.
Men from the neighboring villages attacked Surumarang village, claiming that youths from Surumarang damaged a PMV bus and attacked the PMV driver and his crew. However, from reports given to police, youths from Surumarang had actually intercepted a fight involving the driver and his crew and had taken the PMV bus into the village for safety purpose. However, men from the neighboring village mobilized and went into Surumarang, burning down 14 houses. Police are investigating. Martha Lewis, National MTV News, Madang.
Still in Madang, the member for Raikos, Peter Sapia, is planning on purchasing medical drugs, especially the anti-malarial and antibiotics for his district. Mr. Sapia's immediate plan of action was in response to the recent drug shortage experienced in the province. The drugs purchased will be delivered to each of the health clinics in his district.
Raikos is one of the 6 districts in Madang province, but it is a district located on the southeast of Madang that constitutes land, sea and mountain. And traveling from that part of the province into town to get medical treatment is a struggle for more than 60,000 people of Raikos. Raikos MP Peter Sapia says apart from his plans to purchase drugs, he has also presented a mobile clinic for the district to use during emergency.
Tablonge mi got plan to this ambulance mi buy mosem mi tok pinis and help him for LLG so emba base lo medeng but like road access or tupla LLG osem astola bibe naurawa mosem igat road go inside so isi lemba can save him ambulance ba go in but long narpla tupla LLG osem naido na saido lem mi ting deslam bastap dia thamol kam lo boat or balu semba sebimol.
The new mobile clinic costing more than 300,000 kina will be based in Medeng town and will attend to emergencies. Mr. Sapia is also planning to purchase 2 ambulance boats. The boats will assist each people get into Medeng town more efficiently and faster during and when there is an emergency.
I'm stop long 5-year plan lo mi now still me work long this 5-year plan long me can look long supporting more this sectors long come up in good plus in long Raikos people.
Meanwhile, given Raikos' geographical location, the district has prioritized health, education, agriculture, including infrastructure. Member for Medeng Peter Sapia admits due to the economic shortfall the country is facing, budget trickling down would not be expected. Thus, his district is planning to prioritize on key areas, including health and infrastructure. Martha Lewis, National EMTV News, Medeng.
Here with Thursday's news, we'll have more on the other side of these messages. Don't go away. Welcome back to National EMTV News. PNG Defence Force Commander Gilbert Toropo is one of the first buyers of the PNGDF housing scheme. The scheme, led by Project Officer Colonel Paul Mai, is into its first phase of building 152 houses. The first 30 are under construction and will be completed by June this year. These new houses are being built at Taurama Valley, just before the main entrance into the base of the 1st Royal Pacific Island Regiment. They are being constructed by Comrade Trustee Savings Limited. 17 police officers from more than 3 suburban police posts in Leh are now trained to handle family and sexual violence cases. Leh's Police Family and Sexual Violence Unit, headed by Sergeant Ruth Murup, began the training on Monday. Murup said the family violence training will now help the officers to attend to cases and will also help them to perform their duties correctly.
The officer in charge of the Family and Sexual Violence Unit in Leh, Sergeant Ruth Murup, says most of the officers are not trained on how to handle family violence cases. The training was facilitated by Sergeant Murup, along with the Regional Training Officer for Central, Senior Sergeant Elsie Taule.
We plan to have it like quarterly to have everybody in the command within the Leh Metro Command as well as the PPC Command. We plan to go out in the district Bulolo and have this training run so we can have the policemen there to attend to this the rural population. You know, Morobe is it's 9 districts, and every geographically it's hard for survivors to come in and access the service.
More than 30 cases of family and sexual violence are reported every day at the FSV unit in Leh. Some of these reported cases are civil related. The 3 days training has helped educate these officers on how to handle such cases.
I am also one of the victims of family sexual violence, and I never knew how to solve family sexual violence myself. And when I've come to learn, I found out I know how to solve my own family sexual violence problem, and I can help others to solve their family sexual violence problems.
The family and sexual violence cases have been reported to women officers at the police FSV unit in Leh. 17 police officers sat for the training, which included 9 men. They have graduated yesterday with certificates to attend to family violence cases at their respective police posts.
I'm in charge of FSVU at Chinatown. In these 3 days, I think quite intensive training we've got through, but we have learned a lot.
Julie Badui Owa, National EMTV News, Leh.
While Bulolo District has set a target to have its entire population registered in the National Identification Program. An agreement was signed today between the district and the Civil Registry for registration to commence in the coming weeks. On the back of a recent National Identification Program rollout with members of Parliament, Wau Bulolo has now become the first district to officially partner with the Office of Civil Registry to roll out the National Identification Program. Wau Bulolo member Sam Basil signed a Memorandum of Understanding with Acting Civil Registrar Michael Kumung today.
The NID office is not fully funded to the capacity. My TDA board, as soon as we sign this, piece of document will allow me to take it back to my district board to allocate funding, and we will start to register people in my district starting from Buang local level government.
Through this MOU, Bulolo District Development Authority will partner with the NID in registering its population across its local level governments.
Once we finish that, we will move on to Mumeng local level government, then we'll move to Watut local level government, and we'll move to Wau Rural, and then we'll move to Wau Bulolo Eben, and finally we will do with Warrior, because Warrior and Wau Rural, parts of them do not have access to road.
Acting Civil Registrar Michael Kumung, in thanking the Bulolo District for partnering in this exercise, outlined the role of the NID.
The people that will be engaged in the district will be identified, and we will conduct the training, and obviously we'll get the names, and then the ones that by law will go out to the people and get the information. So
this partnership will see costs shared for all aspects of the registration process.
To invest into that, to start getting the program rolling out, it costs a lot of money. Therefore, with the district, I'm very happy to, of course, use the DSIP money to partner them, because they can't spend 10 million a month. They got 20 million coming in.
The model of this cost sharing will be used as a blueprint for several other districts who are also expected to sign similar agreements in the coming weeks, which will be crucial for the program as it continues to work within limited funding.
Gazelle, Kombiambum, we also have Korobo Kobiako, many have indicated, and we are working on the same MOUs. So since now that our good leader and minister is taking the lead, I guess all others will follow, and we will start signing the MOUs to effect the registration in their respective districts.
Turning overseas now, the airstrikes and artillery bombardment in Syria's eastern Ghouta province has continued unabated, and the number of casualties on the ground has continued unabated too. Tomorrow, there will be a new attempt by the UN to stop the slaughter, the cruelty of what's happening there. We warn viewers some of the following pictures might be disturbing.
Eastern Ghouta's torment has continued for a third day, and no one is being spared by Assad's forces and his Russian allies. Buildings housing civilians are being specifically targeted. Everywhere there is the desperate, anguished search for survivors. To his horror, this cameraman discovers that the haunting screams are of his grandmother, pregnant aunt and 4 cousins. As he keeps the camera rolling, he rushes one of the children in his arms to the nearest clinic. But the hospitals are no places of safety. In fact, quite the opposite, because they too are being targeted specifically. 22 of Eastern Ghouta's hospitals have been bombed in the last 72 hours. Doctors in the clinics still functioning face impossible choices. One of them told me that they can no longer save the most critical cases.
It is very hard. It's a very difficult decision. But what can we do?
The relentless airstrikes and shelling have not only reduced Eastern Ghouta to ruins, they've also driven people to hide and live underground in basements. This is the last refuge for Eastern Ghouta's 400,000 civilians, especially the most vulnerable, the children, where they live with little water, electricity or food. But even now, this last hiding place is being specifically targeted too with bunker-busting bombs. With nearly 300 dead in just 3 days and hundreds of others wounded, it's hard to see how Eastern Ghouta can survive or how the international community can stop the attacks, as President Assad is given free rein to destroy the last rebel-held areas.
5 of the 7 boys who overdosed on drugs at a Gold Coast school yesterday remain in hospital. Police have interviewed the students who are in a position to speak. Police have not ruled out laying charges.
A clearer picture is beginning to emerge about the circumstances that led up to yesterday's suspected mass overdose at St Stephen's College. Police say 7 boys aged 14 and 15 years started taking a powdered substance at the private school yesterday morning and administered varying doses throughout the day. Teachers became involved when the students started showing symptoms of an overdose around lunchtime. The boys were treated at the school and taken to the Gold Coast University Hospital, 4 of them in a critical condition. This morning it was business as usual for students at the school, but yesterday's incident had some parents deeply concerned.
I'd have to seriously consider if I leave my children at the school, to be honest.
Health experts say the mass overdose is unusual and highlights the dangers of buying drugs online.
I've never heard of anything like it. It's really one-off.
Police are yet to confirm the type of drug, but they did say the sedative Phenibut, which is available online, is one substance they are investigating. For the students involved, it's now all about their recovery. Police say young people will always experiment, but they should take a lesson from the 7 students from St Stephen's College.
To the United States, Billy Graham, the American evangelist who brought Christianity to the mass media, has died at the age of 99. He preached a simple, inclusive message to millions of people in television and in huge stadiums around the world, using his influence to endorse presidents and bring religion into politics.
There are problems that face us.
Billy Graham became an evangelist at a time when religious leaders travelled America and preached in a big tent.
This crowd has been brought together, I believe, by the Spirit of God.
But no tent was big enough for the Billy Graham ministries.
He has conquered the grave. He's alive.
From his early crusades in the 1940s, Graham was inclusive, rejecting the fundamentalism which had divided congregations.
Now we take you to the platform in Cliff Barrows.
He went from tents to stadiums to television. His personal style and good looks were perfect for the age of the mass media. A series of world crusades followed.
He was God. He was also man. Love one another.
In 1959, he captivated Australians. His rally at the MCG attracted more than 130,000 people, a record crowd which to this day hasn't been beaten.
There are hundreds of Gulches and Widges in Melbourne with empty lives.
The reaction was similar across Australia. The TV and radio audience was in the millions. Billy Graham teamed up with Martin Luther King and was on the right side of history when the civil rights movement flowered in the 1960s.
Christianity is not a white man's religion, and don't let anybody ever tell you that it's white or black.
And he set the mould for the political pastor, advising presidents and using the pulpit to influence their policies.
It's comforting to be with a close friend.
But his endorsement of Richard Nixon, tainted by Watergate and forced to resign the presidency, became a sore point. Decades later, it was still troubling him when recordings from the Nixon White House emerged where Graham complained that Jews had too much influence in the media.
This stranglehold has got to be broken or this country is going to go down the drain.
When the religious right brought politics and religion even closer together, Graham backed away.
There are many times that I went too far in talking about such issues.
In his final years, he battled multiple health problems, including cancer. His children continue his work in the ministry that bears his name. But none has been able to match the extraordinary mass appeal of the man called America's pastor.
You're with National EMTV News. Trukai Sports is up next. We'll be back with the details. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. We begin with rugby league, and the Brisbane Broncos arrived in Port Moresby to a huge crowd waiting outside the Jacksons International Airport. People stood outside the airport for almost 3 hours waiting for the players to walk out. Among them, Elijah Lavette.
Many fans held up banners and signs and wore their Broncos jerseys to the airport. The crowd erupted as the team made their way out, led by coach Wayne Bennett. The players were in awe as fans rushed towards the team bus to take a closer look at their stars. Police and security guards tried to contain the large crowd as many ran havoc onto the road.
Our little fellow was holding.
Broncos captain for this weekend's match, Alex Glenn, described the arrival as a rockstar welcome.
As soon as we walked out the doors, you could hear everyone screaming and clapping and the big smiles on their faces and hundreds of cameras everywhere. So it was overwhelming. It was overwhelming, but you know, it was humbling at the same time. I looked up as soon as we come outside. You see hundreds of people up on the fence, and little fellow was holding an Alex Glenn flag, which I was pretty stoked to be recognised over here. So you know, I'll have to go give him some gears later on when I see him. But yeah, it honestly felt like a rock star moment, you know, when they come into big cities.
The players are a bit shocked. I think they knew there'd be some supporters there and we'd get a good welcome, but I don't think they knew just how big a welcome it would be. And like I said before, it's really humbling for the players to see that, especially the young guys, to see what rugby league means to the PNG people.
Both teams are looking forward to Saturday's clash with strong expectations of bruising encounter.
I'm very excited, and we've got a good team, pack of boys that's come over here, so I'm excited to lead those boys and you know, just put my best foot forward and lead with my actions.
It's going to be a tough game. I know they're Queensland Cup champions last year and Trust Super Cup, so they'll be excited to play against us, I'm sure. I know from past experience they won't be holding back. It's very physical, and it's a good game for us as well. It's a good game to test us before the NRL season starts. And
Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
The Nandi Aviators also arrived today for the Melanesian Cup match against the Lay Snacks Tigers. Captain Josateki Sova and coach Vela Tawake say they are ready for the match and hope to take the Melanesian Cup back to Fiji.
Most of the players are very young boys, and we're bringing them to be exposed in the international arena, and we hope to do better. Apart from last year. So we have high respect for Tigers and PNG Rugby League. It's standard really on top than our standard back home. So we came and we really trained really hard to match like Tigers, and I suppose we'll say it on Saturday.
To football now, and National Soccer League team Madang FC's financial appeal is still open for any business house or individual who would like to help the team make the trip to New Zealand for their OFC Champions League Pool C matches. The team could miss out of the OFC Champions League if they do not secure enough funds to attend the competition. This will further jeopardize PNG's participation at the OFC level this year. Avid football supporter Joel Adona has appealed to the public to support Madang FC.
If you can provide funding support to put in the money into that account, and Madang FC will fully account for it. But basically that's the idea. Schools football through Southern Strikers have done the fundraising dinner, and with the call by Madang FC chairman, we are running pretty late, so I think the only way we can do is for the public and corporate houses to bank in the amount that they want to support with into the account. They travel on Friday, play on Sunday. They will stay there for another week of few days. So the account contribution opens, and we see what happens from there. If it continues, that's good for Madang football also.
You're with Trukai Sports. We'll be back with more after these messages. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To the Winter Olympics now. Snowboarder Jared Hughes will carry the Australian flag at the closing ceremony in Pyeongchang on Sunday. The 22-year-old won a silver medal in a snowboard cross event.
Snowboarder Jared Hughes didn't enter these Winter Olympics as a high-profile athlete, but he'll leave the Games as just one of 3 Australian medalists here in Pyeongchang. At just 22 years of age, he's the youngest athlete for Australia to win a Winter Games medal since 2006. That means he's pretty optimistic about the 2022 Beijing Olympics for the Australian team, but he's also pretty conscious that he's got some stiff competition within Australia to be at the next Olympic Games.
It's pretty cool to be this young, and Beijing's coming up, and I think it's going to be really exciting, especially because they've had a summer games there. It'll be pretty cool to experience that, but that's a long way away. I've got to worry about qualifying again. We've got a lot of young Aussies that can probably boot me off this chair right now, so I've got to worry about them in 4 years.
Hughes will wave the flag at the closing ceremony, an event which over 30 Australian athletes from a team of 51 will attend. That's more than in the opening ceremony, and they'll be a little bit more relaxed too, once the competition is out of the way.
To cricket now, and a shoulder injury to Chris Lynn has overshadowed Australia's 2020 victory over New Zealand at Eden Park.
The injury-prone batsman has a history of shoulder issues and dislocated his right shoulder, landing awkwardly in the field in the Tri-Series final. Lynn will return to Brisbane today for further scans. He'll be forced to miss the Pakistan Super League, and his IPL involvement for Kolkata is now in doubt as well.
I was really concerned for him. It's been a bugger a couple of sort of years for him, sustaining a couple of shoulders and then hamstring, and it's his opposite shoulder as well. So, he's dislocated that and is obviously going to be out of the PSL, and he's going to fly home back to Brisbane tomorrow for further scans. But it's really heart-aching for him. He's in great form.
Australia cruised to a 19-run victory under the Duckworth-Lewis-Stern method after rain ended play with 5 overs remaining.
And that's it for Trukai Sports. We go for a break. When we come back, the weather details for Friday.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
A look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours in the southern region. Mostly fine for Port Moresby, Daru, Kerma, Alotau and Popondetta with a top of 31. To the Momasa region, fine in Ley, fine becoming cloudy for Wau, a shower or two expected in Madang, Wewak and Vanimo. To the New Guinea Islands region, all the major centres, Lorengau, Kavieng, Kokopo, Rabaul, Kimbe and Buka can expect a shower or two. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg can expect fine weather over the next 24 hours with morning fog.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that's a news, sport and weather for today, Thursday, the 22nd of February 2018. On behalf of the EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.